Namaskar. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the second Asia-Pacific Ministerial Conference on Civil Aviation today. Let's listen in.
सभी देशों के महानुभावों का मैं हृदय से स्वागत करता हूं और 2 दिवसीय इस समिट में आपने इस सेक्टर से जुड़े कई महत्वपूर्ण विषयों पर चर्चा की है। मैं मानता हूं कि एक प्रकार से यहां सिविल एविएशन सेक्टर के जो ब्राइटेस्ट माइंड्स हैं वो हमारे बीच में है। ये हम सभी के कमिटमेंट और एशिया पैसिफिक रीजन के पोटेंशियल दोनों का रिफ्लेक्शन है। इस संगठन को 80 साल की यात्रा पूरी हुई है और 80,000 पैड लगाने का, और वो भी मां के नाम पैड लगाने का एक बड़ा इनिशिएटिव हमारे मंत्री श्रीमान नायडू जी के मार्गदर्शन में और नेतृत्व में किया गया। लेकिन मैं एक और विषय की तरफ आपका ध्यान आकर्षित करना चाहूंगा। हमारे देश में व्यक्ति के जीवन में जब 80 साल होते हैं तो वो एक सेलिब्रेशन अलग प्रकार का होता है और हमारे यहाँ ये हमारे पूर्वजों ने जो कुछ भी गिनती की है उनका कहना है कि जब 80 साल होते हैं तो 1000 फुल मून देखने का उसे अवसर मिला होता है। मतलब कि हमारे सेक्टर की संगठन ने भी 1000 फुल मून के दर्शन किए हैं और एक प्रकार से उड़ान भर करके उसको निकट से देखने का भी अनुभव प्राप्त किया है। तो इस अर्थ में भी ये 80 साल की यात्रा एक यादगार यात्रा, सफल यात्रा, अभिनंदन की योग्य यात्रा है। साथियों, इस जो ग्रोथ हो रहा है इसमें सिविल एविएशन का एक बहुत बड़ा रोल है। भारत की जो फास्टेस्ट ग्रोइंग इकोनॉमी बनी है उन सभी सेक्टर्स में से एक हमारा एविएशन सेक्टर भी है। हम लोगों को, कल्चर को, प्रॉस्पेरिटी को कनेक्ट करने का एक काम इस क्षेत्र के माध्यम से कर रहे हैं। 4 बिलियन लोग, तेजी से बढ़ता मिडिल क्लास और उसके कारण बढ़ती हुई डिमांड, ये अपने आप में एक बहुत बड़ा ड्राइविंग फोर्स है इस सेक्टर के विकास का। इस रीजन में नेटवर्क ऑफ अपॉर्चुनिटीज क्रिएट करने के लिए एक लक्ष्य को लेकर के हम आगे बढ़ रहे हैं और ऐसा नेटवर्क जो इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ को ड्राइव करेगा, इनोवेशन को बढ़ावा देगा, पीस प्रॉस्पेरिटी को मजबूती देगा। एविएशन के फ्यूचर को शेप करना हमारा शेयर्ड कमिटमेंट है। यहां सिविल एविएशन से जुड़ी अपॉर्चुनिटीज पर आप सबने गंभीरता से मंथन किया है। आप सभी के प्रयासों से दिल्ली डिक्लेरेशन आज हमारे सामने है। ये डिक्लेरेशन रीजनल कनेक्टिविटी, इनोवेशन और एविएशन में सस्टेनेबल ग्रोथ के हमारे संकल्प को आगे बढ़ाएगा। मुझे भरोसा कि हर पॉइंट पर तेजी से एक्शन होगा। ये डिक्लेरेशन को हम जमीन पर उतार पाएंगे और एक सामूहिक शक्ति से नई ऊंचाइयों को हम पार करेंगे। एशिया पैसिफिक रीजन में हमें एविएशन कनेक्टिविटी को बढ़ाने के लिए हमें नॉलेज, एक्सपर्टाइज, रिसोर्सेज हम सबके बीच में शेयर करने से शायद हमारी ताकत और ज्यादा बढ़ेगी। हमें इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में भी और अधिक इन्वेस्टमेंट की जरूरत रहेगी और उसको भी सभी संबंधित देशों में स्वाभाविक प्राथमिकता रहनी होगी। लेकिन सिर्फ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर से काम होना नहीं है। स्किल, मैन पावर और अपग्रेडेड टेक्नोलॉजी की निरंतर प्रक्रिया ये उसके विकास के लिए अहम होती हैं और वो भी मुझे लगता है कि हमारा एक प्रकार का दूसरा इन्वेस्टमेंट होगा। हमारा लक्ष्य एयर ट्रैवल को सामान्य से नागरिक तक पहुंचाने का है। हमें एयर ट्रैवल को सेफ, एफोर्डेबल और सबके लिए एक्सेसिबल बनाना है और इसके लिए मुझे विश्वास है कि हमारा ये डिक्लेरेशन और हमारे सामूहिक प्रयास और हमारे इतने लंबे समय का अनुभव हमें बहुत काम आने वाला है। फ्रेंड्स, आज आपके बीच में यहां भारत के अनुभव जरूर शेयर करना चाहूंगा। आज भारत दुनिया के टॉप सिविल एविएशन इकोसिस्टम में से एक मजबूत पिलर बना हुआ है। हमारे यहां सिविल एविएशन सेक्टर की ग्रोथ अभूतपूर्व है। सिर्फ एक दशक में भारत ने बहुत बड़ा ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन करके दिखाया है। इन वर्षों में भारत एविएशन एक्सक्लूसिव से एविएशन इंक्लूसिव के वाला देश बन गया है। क्योंकि एक समय था भारत में एयर ट्रैवल कुछ ही लोगों के लिए एक्सक्लूसिव था। कुछ बड़े शहरों में अच्छी एयर कनेक्टिविटी थी। कुछ बड़े लोग लगातार एयर ट्रैवल का फायदा उठाते थे। कमजोर और मध्यम वर्ग कभी कभार, कभी मजबूरी में कभी ट्रैवल करना पड़ा होगा तो जाना हुआ होता है, लेकिन सामान्य उसके जीवन में नहीं था। लेकिन आज भारत में स्थितियां पूरी तरह बदल गई हैं। आज हमारे टियर 2 और टियर 3 सिटीज में भी वहां के नागरिक वहां से उड़ान भर रहे हैं। इसके लिए हमने अनेक इनिशिएटिव लिए हैं, नीतिगत परिवर्तन किए हैं, व्यवस्थाएं विकसित की हैं। मुझे विश्वास है आप भारत की उड़ान स्कीम को जरूर स्टडी करेंगे। रीजनल कनेक्टिविटी की शानदार स्कीम ने भारत में एविएशन को इंक्लूसिव बना दिया है। इस स्कीम ने एयर ट्रैवल को भारत के छोटे शहरों और लोअर मिडिल क्लास तक पहुंचा दिया है। इस स्कीम के तहत अभी तक 14 मिलियन पैसेंजर्स ट्रैवल कर चुके हैं। इनमें से लाखों लोग ऐसे हैं जिन्होंने पहली बार अंदर से हवाई जहाज को देखा है। उड़ान योजना से जो डिमांड क्रिएट हुई है उससे अनेक छोटे शहरों में नए एयरपोर्ट बने हैं, सैकड़ों नए रूट्स बने हैं। आप जानकर हैरान होंगे, और जैसा नायडू जी ने बताया, 10 साल में भारत में एयरपोर्ट्स की संख्या डबल हो गई है और भी काम पर हम बहुत तेजी से आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। एक तरफ हम छोटे शहरों में एयरपोर्ट्स बना रहे हैं, दूसरी तरफ बड़े शहरों के एयरपोर्ट्स को और आधुनिक बनाने की दिशा में हम तेजी से काम कर रहे हैं। भविष्य का भारत एयर कनेक्टिविटी के मामले में दुनिया के सबसे कनेक्टेड रीजन में से एक होने वाला है। इसका एहसास हमारी एयरलाइंस को भी है। यही कारण है कि भारत के एयरलाइंस ने 1200 से ज्यादा नए एयरक्राफ्ट के ऑर्डर दिए हैं। सिविल एविएशन की ग्रोथ प्लेन्स और एयरपोर्ट्स तक सीमित नहीं है। भारत में एविएशन सेक्टर जॉब क्रिएशन को भी गति दे रहा है। स्किल्ड पायलट्स, क्रू मेंबर्स, इंजीनियर्स, ऐसी अनेक जॉब्स क्रिएट हो रही हैं। मेंटेनेंस, रिपेयर एंड ओवरहॉल, एमआरओ सर्विसेज को बल, उस दिशा में भी हम एक के बाद एक निर्णय करके आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। इससे हाई स्किल जॉब्स का निर्माण हो रहा है। इस दशक के अंत तक लीडिंग एविएशन हब बनने का लक्ष्य लेकर के भारत आगे बढ़ रहा है, जहां $4 बिलियन की सिर्फ एमआरओ इंडस्ट्री होगी। इसके लिए हमने एमआरओ पॉलिसीज भी बनाई हैं। टियर 2, टियर 3 शहरों में एयर कनेक्टिविटी से भारत के सैकड़ों नए शहर ग्रोथ के नए सेंटर बनेंगे। आप सभी वर्टिपोर्ट जैसे इनोवेशन से भी परिचित हैं। ये एयर ट्रांसपोर्ट का एक ऐसा मॉडल है जो शहरों में ईज ऑफ ट्रैवल को बढ़ाने लगा है। हम भारत को एडवांस एयर मोबिलिटी के लिए भी तैयार कर रहे हैं। वो दिन दूर नहीं जब एयर टैक्सी में सफर एक सच्चाई बन जाएगी और सामान्य बन जाने की संभावना भी है। विमेन लेड डेवलपमेंट, ये हमारा कमिटमेंट है। और आपने देखा होगा G20 समिट में एक महत्वपूर्ण जो निर्णय किए उसमें एक विमेन लेड डेवलपमेंट को लेकर के किया है। हमारा एविएशन सेक्टर विमेन लेड डेवलपमेंट के हमारे इस मिशन को बहुत मदद कर रहा है। भारत में पायलट्स के करीब करीब 15% पायलट विमेन है और ये ग्लोबल एवरेज सिर्फ 5% है, जबकि भारत 15% है। भारत ने इस सेक्टर को और विमेन फ्रेंडली बनाने के लिए जरूरी एडवाइजरीज भी लागू की हैं। इसमें महिलाओं के लिए रिटर्न टू वर्क पॉलिसीज भी हैं। महिलाओं के लिए विशेष लीडरशिप और मेंटरशिप प्रोग्राम्स को भी हमने बल दिया है। भारत ने ग्रामीण क्षेत्र में, खास करके एग्रीकल्चर सेक्टर में, ड्रोन का बहुत बड़ा एम्बिशियस एक प्रोजेक्ट चलाया है। हमने गांव-गांव ड्रोन दीदी अभियान से ट्रेन ड्रोन पायलट्स का एक पूल तैयार किया है। भारत के एविएशन सेक्टर का एक नया और यूनिक फीचर है डीजी यात्रा इनिशिएटिव। ये स्मूथ, और सीमलेस एयर ट्रैवल का डिजिटल सॉल्यूशन है। इसमें फेशियल रिकॉग्निशन टेक्नोलॉजी के यूज से एयरपोर्ट पर अलग अलग चेक पॉइंट से पैसेंजर को मुक्ति मिलती है, उसका समय बचता है। डीजी यात्रा एफिशिएंट और कन्वीनियंट तो है ही, इसमें फ्यूचर ऑफ ट्रैवल की भी झलक है। हमारे रीजन में समृद्ध इतिहास, परंपरा और विविधताएं, क्योंकि हजारों साल पुरानी सांस्कृतिक विरासत के हम धनी हैं, महान परंपराओं के हम धनी हैं। हमारे कल्चर और ट्रेडिशंस हजारों साल पुराने हैं। दुनिया ऐसी वजहों से हम सभी देशों के प्रति आकर्षित होती है। हमें एक दूसरे के टूरिज्म को बढ़ाने में भी मदद करनी चाहिए। कितने ही देशों में भगवान बुद्ध की पूजा होती है। भारत ने एक बुद्धिस्ट सर्किट डेवलप किया है। कुशीनगर में एक इंटरनेशनल एयरपोर्ट भी बनाया है। अगर हम पूरे एशिया में भगवान बुद्ध से जुड़े तीर्थों का, उसे एक साथ जोड़ने का अगर अभियान लेते हैं, तो एविएशन सेक्टर को भी और उससे जुड़े हुए कई देशों को भी और सामान्य रूप से यात्रियों के लिए एक विन विन सिचुएशन वाला हम मॉडल क्रिएट कर सकते हैं, और हमने उस दिशा में भी प्रयास करना चाहिए। और इस प्रकार के यात्रियों को एक देश से दूसरे देश में ले जाने के लिए एक ही प्रकार के कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव मॉडल को हम अगर डेवलप करते हैं, तो ऐसे संबंधित सभी देशों को विशेष लाभ मिलने की गारंटी है। अगर हम एक इंटरनेशनल बुद्धिस्ट सर्किट बनाएं, तो इससे संबंधित सभी देशों के यात्रियों और सभी देशों की इकोनॉमी को बहुत बड़ा फायदा होगा। एशिया पैसिफिक के देश एक और क्षेत्र में सहयोग बढ़ा सकते हैं। एशिया पैसिफिक रीजन अब बिजनेस हब भी बनता जा रहा है। दुनिया के एग्जीक्यूटिव्स या एम्प्लॉइज इस रीजन में बहुत बड़ी मात्रा में आते हैं। स्वाभाविक है कि कुछ लोगों ने इस क्षेत्र में अपने ऑफिस एस्टैब्लिश किए हैं, तो उनकी फ्रीक्वेंट फ्लायर के रूप में भी गतिविधि बढ़ रही है। कौन से ऐसे कॉमन रूट्स हैं जिन पर ये प्रोफेशनल्स का आना जाना होता है और फ्रीक्वेंट होता है? क्या हम एक कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव सोच के साथ हमारे रूट्स को इस एक व्यवस्था को कैटर करने के लिए रीरूट कर सकते हैं क्या, और उसको एक हम सुविधाजनक बना सकते हैं क्या? मैं चाहूंगा कि आप सभी उस दिशा में भी, क्योंकि ये क्षेत्र का विकास सुनिश्चित है और उसके अंदर प्रोफेशनल्स के लिए सुविधाएं जितनी बढ़ेगी उतनी काम की भी गति बढ़ने वाली है। हम इंटरनेशनल सिविल एविएशन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन और शिकागो कन्वेंशन की 80th एनिवर्सरी सेलिब्रेट कर रहे हैं। तब हमें रेजिलिएंट और इंक्लूसिव एविएशन सेक्टर के लिए अपने कमिटमेंट को रिन्यू करना है। मुझे साइबर सिक्योरिटी से जुड़ी, डेटा सिक्योरिटी से जुड़ी आपकी चिंताओं का भी एहसास है। अगर टेक्नोलॉजी के साथ चैलेंजेस हैं, तो सॉल्यूशन भी टेक्नोलॉजी से ही होते हैं। हमें इंटरनेशनल कोलैबोरेशन को और अधिक मजबूत करना होगा। हमें खुले मन से टेक्नोलॉजी को शेयर करना होगा, इंफॉर्मेशन को शेयर करना होगा, तब जाकर हम इन व्यवस्थाओं को सुरक्षित रख पाते हैं। ये दिल्ली कॉन्फ्रेंस यूनिटी और शेयर्ड पर्पज के साथ आगे बढ़ने के हमारे संकल्प को मजबूती देगी। हम एक ऐसे फ्यूचर के लिए काम करें जहां आकाश सबके लिए खुला हो, जहां दुनिया के हर व्यक्ति का उड़ने का सपना पूरा हो। मैं फिर से सभी अतिथियों का स्वागत भी करता हूं और इस महत्वपूर्ण समिट के लिए आप सबका हृदय से आभार भी व्यक्त करता हूं। आप सबको मेरी बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं हैं। धन्यवाद।
You were listening to Prime Minister Narendra Modi's address at the second Asia-Pacific Ministerial Conference on Civil Aviation. Prime Minister touched upon a host of areas for the development of the sector. He focused on creating a network of opportunities that included investment, shared investment in infrastructure, in manpower development. He also stressed on the importance of making air travel and the air sector more inclusive, with access to air travel for the common folk, for the middle class and other sections of the population. He also shared the concern about cyber security in the domain and said that technology must also be used to mitigate this particular challenge. He touched upon women-led development and other issues. And meanwhile, a macro view of the global and regional aviation sector would reveal shining growth spots and also concerns regarding sustainable development. India is not only one of the fastest growing aviation markets in the world, but also making a mark in green reforms and people-centric policies. Here's more.
The key opportunities and challenges facing the sector and India's leadership role in the domain. India is the fastest growing aviation market in the world and is currently third largest in the domestic segment. Since 2014, 73 airports have successfully transitioned to 100% green energy, marking a significant milestone in their sustainability journey. India is positioning itself to become a major hub for maintenance, repair and overhaul, MRO services, cargo operations and overall regional aviation. In the last decade, the number of aircraft in India has increased from 400 to more than 800. Airports in India have exponentially grown from 74 to 157 in the same period. Initiatives like Udan, Uday Desh Ka Aam Nagrik have enhanced regional connectivity and affordable air travel. Indian Airlines ordered more than 1,200 aircraft in the last year alone. In 2022, Air India's privatization under the Tata Group marked a significant milestone. Asia-Pacific region holds great importance on the global aviation map. It is home to some of the fastest-growing aviation markets in the world. But with prospects of growth come concerns regarding climate change and sustainable development. By 2035, the region is expected to account for more than 40% of global air traffic, with nearly 3.5 billion passengers traveling annually. Aviation is a significant contributor to climate change. It is responsible for 75% of greenhouse gas emissions. Plastic and other waste generated at airports are increasing at an alarming pace. Mitigating the impact of rising fuel prices and adapting to cleaner fuels is an ongoing challenge. Post-pandemic, logistics issues continue to impact the sector. International conflicts also have a bearing on smooth operation of the sector. The aviation sector is seen as an engine of global growth. It connects nations, people, and economies. The outcomes of the second Asia-Pacific Ministerial Conference on Civil Aviation are expected to provide new direction and momentum to the sector. Shubhendu Ghosh's report for DD India.
And to take forward the conversations on the key takeaways of the second Asia-Pacific Ministerial Conference on Civil Aviation, joining me is Vikram Dev Dutt. He is the Chief of Aviation Regulator, Directorate General of Civil Aviation. Good evening and welcome, sir. Now, with reference to Prime Minister's address and the focus on innovation and sustainable aviation, what is the direction that this conference gives to the sector as a whole in the region?
Well, at the very outset, I would like to indicate that this has been an absolute landmark moment in terms of a paradigm shift across critical elements of the growth story in aviation. Aviation, as we all know, is a force multiplier in terms of its economic impact, of the cultural footprint which it leaves. ensuring equity across regions, connecting peoples and cultures. Innovation and fast emerging technologies are basically the future. The Prime Minister spoke at length about air taxis and eVTOLs and vertiports. That is an emerging space where regulatory approaches across the world are still evolving, keeping pace with the technology. In terms of sustainability, the core concern is about aviation being a hard to decarbonize sector, and what could be the best way forward in terms of every nation moving together in tandem, collaboratively, to lessen the carbon footprint of aviation, given that the growth story in aviation is going to achieve greater heights. Sustainable aviation fuel, its production, its affordability, and its equitable accessibility to all parts of the globe is a concern which was deliberated upon at length in this conference. I think COVID pandemic taught us valuable lessons, and the most valuable takeaway from the experience of COVID for the aviation industry as a whole has been one of collaboration. Collaboration is the future.
In fact, sir, on that point of collaboration, if I may just add that Prime Minister in his address speaks about need to share knowledge, expertise and resources. Traditionally, we understand aviation connects people, but here we're talking about nations coming together to improve the aviation of the region as a whole. What are the possibilities there?
Well, the possibilities are immense. They are humongous, given the fact that the Asia-Pacific region is the fastest growing region amongst all the aviation regions. And the traffic currently in the Asia-Pacific region is almost at par with the pre-COVID levels. And talking of India in specific as the aviation powerhouse in the region, the scale of growth across all elements of the aviation infrastructure, be it airports, whether it is induction of aircraft by our airline companies, whether it is the last mile connectivity through the wonderfully conceived scheme of Udan, which is one of its kind anywhere in the world, and which the Honorable Prime Minister held out as a showcase for other nations to emulate, ensuring an aspirational urge from every corner of the country by a common citizen to avail of air transport as a common facility and not merely an elitist facility, ensuring inclusive growth and inclusive economic growth of all regions.
Right. Mr. Dutt, also the opportunities that lie ahead for India. Prime Minister singled out MRO, you understand, maintenance, repair and overall services. If you could simplify, what is the nature of opportunity available for India in the region, and what does it also mean for India's trained workforce in the sector?
Well, the possibilities again are immense, because with the kind of aircraft induction by airline companies and the scale of growth across every element of the aviation ecosystem in India, it is logical that the supporting backroom elements of aviation ecosystem of maintenance, repair and overhaul, which has been at the moment kind of apportioned by companies abroad, are going to be set up in India, because the taxation structure has been rationalized by the government. The tax rates have been drastically brought down. There have been a lot of enabling regulatory systemic reforms on the regulatory side, which provide a very conducive and a facilitative environment for investments in the MRO sector to come in. There are companies who have already set up their plans very firmly, and in fact, they're working on those plans actively on the ground to set up these MRO facilities in India, which means that the number of aircraft which would be required to be maintained in the coming years need not be sent abroad for the scheduled maintenance and other checks. And all those checks would be done in India, which would mean a force multiplier effect on all employment opportunities, be it for aircraft maintenance engineers, be it for technicians, or be it for all other elements of the aviation ecosystem.
Right, and also while sharing India's success story in the sector, particularly digital intervention, Prime Minister speaks about Digi Yatra, which those of us who use it, we understand it really helps you cut the queues and saves time. What kind of a model does it also appear for all the participants from the region in this conference?
Well, the participants were very appreciative of India's efforts on the digital front, because the Digital India initiative, which was the broader initiative of the Honorable Prime Minister and Government of India, has found its resonance in aviation in terms of the Digi Yatra initiative, which has been a great boon for air travelers, easing out congestion at airports. And it's a model fit for other countries in the Asia-Pacific region to follow. Apart from the Digi Yatra and the digital initiatives, the Honorable Prime Minister also made a mention of the gender initiatives, where the intent to promote gender equality finds a very specific mention in the Delhi Declaration adopted today. India is well on its way, because advisory circulars have been issued to the industry to ensure a 25% women participation in the aviation industry in India by 2025.
Now, the concerns of the sector, security, whether it's physical security of data or cyber security, Prime Minister said that we must embrace technology also to mitigate this challenge. If you could simplify for us, what does it mean for players in the region?
Well, cyber attacks, as we saw in the recent past, have been a threat to aviation worldwide. So the forum actively discussed better and more real-time means of information sharing and of technological upgrades to suitably meet, preempt, and mitigate the threats should they arise.
Right. Mr. Dutt, could you also give us a sense of the manner in which the theme of sustainable aviation was articulated by the participants? Because one of the concerns of the sector is also the manner in which it poses a challenge to climate change. There is a transition to cleaner fuels, but we understand that's taking its own time. How was this challenge also being discussed as a polluter in climate change context?
Sustainability is now the buzzword in aviation, because aviation community as a whole, led by the International Civil Aviation Organization and a consensus among all the countries, recognizes the need to lessen the carbon footprint of aviation through a wide basket of measures. These measures are improvement of engine technologies, improvement of airframe technologies, and most importantly, sustainable aviation fuel as a means of reducing emissions by 2050, aspirational goal which the ICAO has adopted. So different countries are at different stages of development in the sustainability cycle. They have their own national requirements and their own resources at their disposal. So till 2030, ICAO has adopted an indicative kind of aspirational target of 1% reduction use of SAF by 2027, 2% by 2028, and 5% by 2030. So the immediate challenge in the short term, which all the countries agreed upon, would be to speedily ramp up the production and the availability of sustainable aviation fuel. Ensure that there is an offtake and a demand and a market for this kind of fuel, and devise appropriate policies and other state instrumentalities to ensure an equitable access to this fuel across all regions of the globe.
Right, Mr. Dutt, I want to return to the theme of making aviation inclusive. And Prime Minister says, presents the India story, talks about aviation exclusive to aviation inclusive. And when he refers to the demography of India, the middle class growing, it's also the story that is shared by the other countries, the developing countries of the region. How was this message of inclusive aviation being also taken by the participants and leaders?
The participants were extremely appreciative of India's UDAN scheme. They were keen to know the details of the scheme, the role of the state as a facilitator, the role of the state as a prime mover in generating demand, in creating the infrastructure across all geographical regions of the country, and ensuring that a level playing field and a conducive environment through facilitative aviation laws, as well as other elements of the aviation infrastructure, are available for airlines to start newer routes, and also ensure that a common man is able to realize his dream, his aspirational dream of flying at affordable fares. So it's very much a common man's mode of transport, not an elitist mode of transport, and that is the fundamental transformation and the paradigm shift that has come in the last 10 years.
Right. On that note, thank you very much, Mr. Vikram Devdutt, for joining us on DD India and sharing your perspective.
Thank you.
Still to come on DD India News Hour. Vietnam, Thailand and Myanmar face impact of Typhoon Yagi. ECB cuts its deposit rate by 25 basis points to 3.50%.
United States is going into its 60th quadrennial presidential election. What are the implications of this election? What is the state of democracy in the United States? Can India and the United States work together?
What are the values? Do we still hold true the democratic values that we did when the Constitution was and our forefathers were drafting the Constitution? Are we evolving, right? And what does it mean to evolve?
The relationship between India and the United States, as you point out, is critical. And what is foundational to that relationship is the common democratic values and the value of a vote, a single vote in each country.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. Our top stories. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi attends second Asia-Pacific Ministerial Conference on Civil Aviation, calls for making air travel safe, affordable and accessible for all. India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh attends the multinational exercise at Jodhpur in Rajasthan, says Tarang Shakti demonstrates country's resolve to become self-reliant in defence. Britain's Prime Minister Keir Starmer promises 10-year plan to fix health services in crisis, says UK's National Health Service needs major surgery.
Surgery, not sticking plasters. We've got to face up to the challenges.
Typhoon Yagi claims over 220 lives in Vietnam. Myanmar and Thailand also face the brunt. And SpaceX scripts history. Polaris Dawn completes world's first private spacewalk. India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has termed the multinational exercise Tarang Shakti as an effort to strengthen cooperation, coordination and trust with partner countries. Addressing the gathering at the second phase of the multinational exercise in Jodhpur, Rajasthan, Rajnath Singh said that through Tarang Shakti, India has further strengthened its defence ties with partner countries.
Roaring to the skies, this is Tejas, an all-weather fighter plane in which India takes great pride. After Tejas, it was the chance for India's advanced light helicopter Prachanda to take off. The finale act by the Surya Kiran team mesmerized the audience. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has termed multinational exercise Tarang Shakti as an effort to strengthen cooperation, coordination and trust with the partner countries. Addressing the gathering at the Distinguished Visitors Day event in the second phase of the multinational exercise in Jodhpur, he said that India has further strengthened its defence ties with all partner countries and is now exporting defence products and technology to 90 countries.
कुछ समय पहले तक भारत को आर्म्स एंड इक्विपमेंट के मामले में सिर्फ एक इंपोर्टर कंट्री के रूप में देखा जाता था, लेकिन आज भारत लगभग 90 कंट्रीज को आर्म्स एंड इक्विपमेंट एक्सपोर्ट करता है। इन्हीं सब का परिणाम है कि आज भारत अपनी ज़रूरतों के लिए डिफेंस इक्विपमेंट की मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कर रहा है, लेकिन इसके साथ ही साथ हम अनेक विदेशी इक्विपमेंट के पार्ट की मैन्युफैक्चरिंग भी अपने देश में कर रहे हैं।
7 friendly nations, including the United States, Australia and Japan, participated in this multilateral air exercise from the 30th of August to September 12th.
We remain committed towards fostering stronger international cooperation in the air power domain. I am confident that exercise Tarang Shakti would serve as a foundation for future collaboration and always remind us the vital role air forces play in maintaining peace and stability around the world. I wish all the participants blue skies and happy landings forever.
Yeah, we're so excited to be a part of it, and we're very excited at how it went. The Indian Air Force was fantastic. They're great hosts. The training was top-notch, and I think everybody came away with the exercise with a lot of lessons learned and things to take back to their own nations to improve on the next exercise, because we plan on coming back again.
On the occasion, the Deputy Commander of the US Air Force appreciated the Indian fighter plane Tejas. Held after 6 decades, this multilateral exercise has surely elevated India's stature before the world.
Amidst the F-16s of America and Growler of Australia, this is India's Tejas. A Make in India all-weather aircraft is the pride of our country. Even the Americans accept that India now has an option. From importer, India is becoming exporter in defense products and defense equipments. With video journalist Piyush in Jodhpur, this is Vishal Baristu for DD India.
Defence Minister Rajnath Singh inaugurated the International Defence and Aerospace Expo IDEX 24 in Jodhpur, Rajasthan. IDEX aims to showcase indigenous skills and indomitable spirit of Indian aviation industries to a wide spectrum of decision makers and end users from across the world.
These visuals are clearly displaying India's advanced technology in air defense, and this is getting global attention. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh inaugurated the prestigious International Defense and Aerospace Expo, the IDEX 24, at Jodhpur in the western Indian state of Rajasthan, which showcased India's commitment to indigenous defense manufacturing and aerospace innovation.
This simulator is for the Mirage 2000. It is what is known as a part task trainer, which means it specializes in a particular task of the overall flight mission. In this particular case, it simulates the large force engagement. So large force engagement is many airplanes on one side and many airplanes on the other side, which are typically called red versus blue engagement, are going to typically engage in what is known as a beyond visual range combat. So in this beyond visual range combat, they will use their radar to pick up the enemy airplane, and they'll take their missiles to take it out.
The IDEX 24 aims to showcase indigenous skills and indomitable spirit of Indian aviation industry to a wide spectrum of decision makers and end users from global air forces participating in Tarang Shakti 2024.
More than 60 exhibitors are showcasing their strength in IDEX 2024. The whole idea is to tell the world that India has arrived as an exporter of defense equipments and technology.
The event is witnessing enthusiastic participation from startups, MSMEs and major aeronautical industries, with 68 industry players presenting cutting-edge defense technologies. The exhibition is aimed at providing a global platform to the Indian companies to sell their defense products and technologies in the international market. Vishal Baristo's report for DD India.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the Semicon India 2024 on Wednesday. The 3-day exhibition continues in Greater Noida on outskirts of the national capital, with more than 250 exhibitors showcasing their technology in semiconductor domain. Our correspondent Dibyendu Mondal gets us ground report from Semicon 2024.
This is day 2 of Semicon India 2024, and as you can see behind me, the exhibition center is buzzing with people, which has number of people, delegates as well as visitors coming in from different parts of the country and from different parts of the world to experience the revolution of semiconductor in India. This is just the beginning of India going to be the semiconductor hub of the world. In fact, the government's policies towards making India as the manufacturing hub of semiconductor and the Prime Minister's dream of having an Indian chip in every electronic devices in the world, Therefore, this is the first step towards achieving that feat by India. And of course, there are multiple companies and countries that have set up their exhibition stalls here at the Semicon India 2024 in Greater Noida. We have been witnessing new technologies, also understanding about the semiconductor industry. Of course, it is in its nascent stage at this moment, but industry experts have also expressed their confidence in India and the Indian government's policies towards making India as the global manufacturing hub of semiconductor. In fact, there are also multiple sessions and roundtables being held with the top CEOs of different global companies here in Noida. There are multiple sessions, students also participating in this semiconductor, in this particular semiconductor exhibition to understand the manufacturing, the research and development of semiconductor. This is perhaps the first step towards making India the global hub for semiconductor in the coming times. With camera person Mohit, this is Divyendu Mondal from Greater Noida for DD India.
Let's turn to some weather updates. Heavy rains triggered by Typhoon Yagi have caused severe floods, landslides and evacuations in northern Vietnam, Laos, Thailand and Myanmar. Meanwhile, California's line fire has grown to 26,000 acres and more evacuations are underway. In India, the Met Department has predicted more showers in northern and central parts of the country.
Typhoon Yagi have brought a colossal deluge of rain that has inundated swaths of northern Vietnam, Laos, Thailand and Myanmar. In Vietnam, more than 200 people have lost their lives due to floods and landslides caused by Typhoon Yagi. The government's disaster management agency said that the northern province of Lao Cai has suffered the heaviest casualties with 98 dead and 81 missing. Government's weather forecast agency said that the river had peaked in Hanoi and begun to subside. As floodwaters gradually receded, residents in Thai Nguyen City began to clean up their homes.
My household appliances are all destroyed. I'm trying to save whatever is left of my flooded merchandise, but the chances are slim because it's all electronic stuff that's difficult to repair.
We had a truck that we used to carry merchandise and 3 motorcycles with, all submerged together with our inventory. We only had enough time to run our rice bucket and stove up to the 2nd floor.
In neighboring Myanmar, hundreds of people in Taungu town took shelter in a school building after fleeing their homes near the surging Sitaung River. The severe flooding was triggered by Typhoon Yagi. While in Thailand, at least 33 people have died since mid-August from a spate of rain-related incidents, including landslides, with 9 fatalities this week in 2 northern provinces hit by the adverse weather brought by Typhoon Yagi. Moving to West Africa, severe flooding in northeastern Nigerian city of Maiduguri claimed at least 30 lives, forced 40,000 people from their homes. According to National Emergency Management Agency, more than 23,000 households and upwards of over 150,000 people have been hit by the rapid rise of waters following the weekend rupture of the Alaud Dam on Nagada River. Besides heavy rains and flooding, wildfires too have wreaked havoc. 3 Southern California wildfires have torched dozens of mountain homes, tore through a ski resort and forced thousands to evacuate in towns and cities east of Los Angeles. Approximately 18,000 people have been ordered to evacuate homes in San Bernardino County neighborhoods. Increased extreme weather events have raised alarm among policymakers as well. A group of Hungarian lawmakers and representatives of NGOs met out on a dried-out sandbanks of Tisza River on Wednesday. The meeting aimed to sound alarm over drought in July and August that damaged key crops. In India, Meteorological Department has issued red alert for heavy showers in North India's Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh and Central Indian state of Madhya Pradesh. Haryana, Delhi and Rajasthan are on orange alert. Bureau Report, DD India.
The European Central Bank on Thursday slashed interest rates again as inflation slows and economic growth falters, but provided almost no clues about its next step, even as investors bet on steady policy easing in the months ahead.
The Governing Council today decided to lower the deposit facility rate the rate through which we steer the monetary policy stance by 25 basis points. Based on our updated assessment of the inflation outlook, the dynamics of underlying inflation, and the strength of monetary policy transmission, it is now appropriate to take another step in moderating the degree of monetary policy restriction.
And still to come on DD India News Hour. Prime Minister Narendra Modi meets Paralympic medalists at his residence. Four civilians on SpaceX mission complete first commercial spacewalk.
Welcome to Jaipur.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. In an exclusive interview, DD India's Taposh Bhattacharya speaks to Dr. M. Ravichandran, who is the Secretary in the Ministry of Earth Sciences, Government of India. He talks about how Indian government has taken much needed steps to boost weather and climate related science, research and services. It's been referred to as Mission Mausam.
Joining me is the Secretary of Ministry of Earth Sciences to talk about Mission Mausam. So tell us more about this mission. It's a huge outlay that has been granted by the Government of India. How do you guys want to go about it in the next couple of years?
So this Mission Mausam is primarily aimed to improve the weather forecast. The present condition to further how we can improve the weather forecast. For that, we try to go for more number of observations, understanding, modeling, and dissemination chain, how to strengthen. That is what we are looking at it. So primarily, we are looking for more number of observations. It is one-fold increase in observations we are aiming. Thereby, we can expect the better weather forecast in the coming years.
We also you mentioned that there will be 100 radars that you guys are planning to. And how do you guys plan to increase that from currently 39 to 100 in the next couple of years?
Yeah, I think we have a capability in India to produce the radar with very many manufacturers. 4 to 5 manufacturers are there. So we will approach them and see that how fast they can be able to deliver. At least in next 18 months or so, we will definitely set up by at least 100 radars.
Okay, one more thing, so I just wanted to ask you, because a lot has been talked about how supercomputing is so important in current scenario. Weather is changing. You mentioned that you guys want to make it like 6 kilometer nowcast and 6 hour nowcast, and then bring it closer to 1 hour. How do you guys plan to do that, and what is the time frame that we can?
So the HPC we will be installed very soon. Maybe in a month's time we will be able to increase the 3-fold increase. Presently we have 6 to 7 petaflops computer, but we will be increasing up to 21 petaflops in a month, which is already in available. We are placed the order, it is working on it. Okay. It will be ready. So once that is ready, then we will be able to go for 12 kilometer resolution to 6 kilometer resolution, so that our forecast will be henceforth will be maybe next few months afterwards it will be 6 kilometer you will get it.
Right, and nowcast also improving. We see especially in Delhi and other places, sporadic rainfall activity that happens. Do you believe that this particular Mission Mausam will help in getting a more detailed analysis?
Yeah, as I mentioned, this Mission Mausam is to observe more and more. Yeah. If you have more and more observations, your nowcast will be better and better, right. And thereby the forecast also will be better. So that is why the Mission Mausam is nothing but observe everything.
Much appreciated time. So that was Secretary of Ministry of Earth Sciences, and that the Mission Mausam is going to be there, and they will be observing everything. It's a 2,000 crore outlay that the government has sanctioned, and in the next 2 years, the ministry is planning to have 100 radars in the country. With camera person Yogesh, this is Tapush Bhattacharya for GD India from Delhi.
The Indian government is actively working to combat air pollution through the newly approved PM Electric Drive Revolution in Innovative Vehicle Enhancement Scheme, or PM E-Drive. With a substantial budget of over 10,000 crore rupees over the next couple of years, the initiative is set to boost electric mobility across the nation.
The Indian government is making all efforts to mitigate air pollution in the country. The cabinet has approved the PM Electric Drive Revolution in Innovative Vehicle Enhancement Scheme, PM E-Drive, to promote electric mobility. The scheme has an outlay of 10,900 crore rupees over a period of 2 years.
Pollution से बचने के लिए और sustainable development के लिए PM E-Drive 10,900 crore rupees का ये program है.
PM E-Drive scheme has been approved to promote electric mobility in the country. Subsidies will be provided for E2-wheelers, E3-wheelers, E-ambulances, E-trucks and other emerging EVs. The scheme also allocates 500 crore rupees for the deployment of E-ambulances. This new initiative by the Government of India aims to promote the use of E-ambulances for comfortable patient transport. The scheme supports mass mobility by enhancing public transportation. The primary objective of the PM E-Drive scheme is to expedite the adoption of EVs. The PM E-Drive scheme aims to promote EVs to reduce the environmental impact of transportation and improve air quality. The scheme is also expected to create significant employment opportunities. The cabinet has also approved Mission Mausam with an outlay of 2,000 crore rupees over 2 years to create a more weather-ready and climate-smart Bharat. Mission Mausam is envisioned as a multifaceted and transformative initiative that will significantly boost India's weather and climate-related science, research and services.
Strengthening the observations. It is not only in situ observation but also remote sensing. Maybe you can take it radars or you can take satellites. We want to improve the model. The model improvement comes only from the second, better understanding. The cloud parameterization scheme what we are using presently, that we want to improve.
The cabinet has approved health coverage for all senior citizens aged 70 years and above, regardless of income, under the flagship scheme Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana.
देश में करीब 4.5 करोड़ फैमिलीज, जिसमें करीब 6 करोड़ सीनियर सिटीजन्स कवर होंगे, ये नए एडिशनल इसमें जुड़ेंगे. कई फैमिलीज ऐसी हैं जो ऑलरेडी कवर्ड हैं जिसमें सीनियर सिटीजन है. ऐसी फैमिलीज में एडिशनल कवरेज, टॉप अप कवरेज 5 लाख रुपए पर एनम का रहेगा.
Indian cabinet has approved the PM E-Bus Seva Payment Security Mechanism scheme for procurement and operation of e-buses by public transport authorities with an outlay of over 3,435 crore rupees. Sayyid Absarul Hassan reporting for DD India.
India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval called on Russian President Vladimir Putin in St. Petersburg in Russia. They discussed issues of mutual interest in the spirit of special and privileged strategic partnership between the two countries. India's National Security Advisor Doval met members of the Communist Party of China, Political Bureau and Director of the Office of the Central Foreign Affairs Commission, Wang Yi, on Thursday in St. Petersburg. Russia on the sidelines of the meeting of BRICS high-ranking officials responsible for security matters. The meeting gave the two sides an opportunity to review the recent efforts towards finding an early resolution of the remaining issues along the line of actual control, LAC, which will create conditions to stabilize and rebuild bilateral relations. Both sides agreed to work with urgency and redouble their efforts to realize complete disengagement in the remaining areas. The NSA conveyed that peace and tranquility at the border areas with respect to LAC are essential for normalcy in bilateral relations. Both sides must fully abide by relevant bilateral agreements, protocols and understandings reached in the past by the two governments. The two sides agreed that India-China bilateral relationship is significant not just for the two countries but also for the region and the world. The two sides also exchanged views on global and regional situation. Britain's Prime Minister Keir Starmer said on Thursday his government is working on a 10-year plan to fix the National Health Service after an independent report found the system to be in critical condition. The state-run NHS has been in crisis and endured some of its toughest winters in recent years, struggling to recover from the impacts of COVID-19 pandemic, long backlogs for elective procedures and industrial action. Prime Minister Starmer said National Health Service would also need major surgery, not sticking plaster solutions, to cope with the rising cost of looking after an aging population without hiking taxes.
The NHS may be broken, but it's not beaten. As the report says, the NHS may be in a critical condition, but its vital signs are strong. And we need to have the courage to deliver long-term reform. Major surgery, not sticking plasters. We've got to face up to the challenges.
SpaceX Polaris Dawn crew conducted the first private spacewalk a short while ago. Billionaire entrepreneur Jared Isaacman and SpaceX employee Sarah Gillis stepped out of the SpaceX Crew Dragon capsule for the first ever private spacewalk. SpaceX launched private crew on breakthrough spacewalk mission using the company's new spacesuits and redesigned spacecraft. Fascinating visuals. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi met with India's Paralympics contingent today at his residence in New Delhi. Team India returned with a rich medal haul, bagging 29 medals, which included 7 gold, 9 silver and 13 bronze.
बाकी लोगों के लिए आप पीएम का मतलब होता है कि प्राइम मिनिस्टर, और हम सब के लिए आप पीएम का मतलब है परम मित्र।
शीतल की सिग्नेचर मिल जाएगी आज मुझे।
जाने से पहले आप जब सबसे बात करते हो और फिर आने के बाद सबसे मिलते हैं, आई थिंक सारे मेडलिस्ट, सारे एथलीट यही सोचते हैं कि हमें यही मौका मिले। सर, लोग पैरा को अभी तक अपनाए नहीं जिस तरह आपने अपनाया है।
बहुत लोग को बोलता है हमारा ब्रांड एम्बेसडर कौन है? हमारा मोदी जी हमारा ब्रांड एम्बेसडर।
तो कैप पहनाना चाहोगे? तो मैं यहाँ बैठता हूँ, तुम पहनाओ। तुम मुझसे बड़े हो, दिखाई दे। इस बार जिनकी रील सबसे ज्यादा पॉपुलर हुई, वहां तो तुमने दिन निकाल दिए। अब घर में क्या होगा तेरा? सिमरन
सर, ये जितना अच्छा बन के दिखा रहा है इतना है नहीं।
कभी ना कभी ऐसे प्रेशर आता रहता है कि आपको परफॉर्म करना है। जब आप बोलते हो कि आप जाओ बस खेलो, हाँ जीत हार तो लगी रहती है, फिर नीचे वाले ये सब ऐसे लगते हैं अरे देख लेंगे।
टोक्यो में गोल्ड लेके आए तो आपने प्रॉमिस लिया था कि ऐसे ऐसे 2 गोल्ड और चाहिए मेरे को। तो ये दूसरा सर आपके लिए।
India's Paralympic champions. But that's all in this edition of DD India News Hour. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan this QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour. Namaskar.